Penguin Random House Audio presents Align Your Mind. Tame your inner critic and make peace with your shadow using the power of parts work. This is the author, Britt Frank, LSCSW. For Gus and Jack. Author's Note. Align Your Mind is geared toward people who experience an inner monologue. Not everyone experiences their minds the same way. So for those who do not identify with the experience of hearing their thoughts, this book may not be helpful. None of the tools, techniques, exercises, or information in Align Your Mind are intended to replace medical care or mental health treatment. Always speak with your doctor before going off medication. The content of this book does not refer to auditory hallucinations, spiritually sourced voices, or any voices that tell you to hurt yourself or others. If your thoughts are disturbing to you or you feel unsafe or triggered at any point, immediately stop listening to this book. If you are in crisis, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room. If you are experiencing suicidal thoughts, text 988 to access the Suicide Crisis Lifeline. To contact the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, please call 800-950-NAMI 6264, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, or send an email to helpline@nami.org. Align Your Mind contains ideas from internal family systems therapy, Jungian psychology, philosophy, ecology, and neuroscience. This book does not address issues related to social injustice, gender, or sexuality. Client names and identifying details have been changed. Though efforts were made to ensure the accuracy of all information as of the time of writing this book, science is always subject to change without notice, and intangibles like the mind are always subject to interpretation. No one knows with absolute certainty how the mind works or what consciousness is. As Neil deGrasse Tyson put it, after the laws of physics, everything else is opinion. Take what's useful from this book and leave the rest. Foreword by Laura Gassner-Otting, Wall Street Journal bestselling author. Over the course of 20 years in executive search, stewarding thousands of people through massive moments of life interruption and career shift, I heard a lot of hairy, scary goals and dreams. Do you want to know how I knew who would achieve success and who would not? Success came always, and only, to the ones who felt so much respect and awe for their outsized ideas of their own potential that they could manage but a whisper that they existed. One part of them wanted it, and another part of them was cowed by it. It was interesting, and it was confusing. It was exciting, and it was terrifying. Promise, but pressure. Clear, but opaque. And all these wide-ranging parts were about to go to battle inside them, with only one able to win. These are the parts that Britt Frank so beautifully describes in Align Your Mind. For so many years, I felt confused, mixed up, messed up. How could one part of me want something, see something, be certain I was going to go for it, even if I didn't yet know how, while another part of me was at the very same moment warning me to slow down, step back, and stop? I spent years working to quiet these voices. In researching my latest book, I even went so far as to interview more than 100 glass ceiling shatterers, Olympic medalists, startup unicorns, and, this is important, everyday people like you and me. I was in search of an answer to how they pushed aside doubt and uncertainty and dread and imposter syndrome. Yes, I spent years working to quiet these voices. And I spent years failing to quiet these voices. I came to understand that the very people who thrived in these moments of promise and uncertainty, of pressure and potential, of uncertainty and excitement, a moment I now call wonder hell, didn't waste time trying to quiet these voices. In fact, they paused to listen to them, learn from them, and grow from them. So, you can imagine my delight to learn from Britt that the solution to aligning our mind isn't actually about banishing our inner critic or fighting with ourselves or telling our inner voices to quiet down. I mean, whew, right? What if all these voices, these parts, are in there for a reason? What if we aren't supposed to quiet them, but to actually listen to them? In fact, every single person I ever met who accomplished everything they wanted in life did it specifically by hearing those parts not as limitations, but as invitations. They didn't fear that their brains were broken, riddled with anxiety, an inner critic, or a self-saboteur. They knew these parts of themselves were exceptionally helpful allies, each of which played valuable roles and made contributions that would eventually result in even greater success. So, they paused. They listened to them. They learned from them. They grew from them. They made these parts a part of their story, fully integrated and momentum building, and not something against which they fruitlessly fought. All of us are trapped by what we think is possible, and yet what seems possible is based only on where we've been and what has been possible so far. Imagine that you are at the bottom of a mountain and looking at the top. It looks beautiful, that mountaintop, and you are thinking, I want to go there. Good for you. You set a goal, and a hard one at that. But then a funny thing happens. Halfway up the mountain, you see a sign for a scenic overlook, and you cut through the bush to find yourself looking out at the top of your mountain, and the other mountaintops beyond and above that. None of them were visible from the ground. But here, halfway up, with one goal in mind, you suddenly have a new, harder, more exciting goal. You're listening to this book because you are on a personal journey to optimize this one big, juicy life you've got, to expand what you think is possible, and to capture the meaning and purpose that you were put on this earth to embody. You might be listening to this book as an accompaniment to therapy. You might be listening to it on your own. In either case, as you move through this book and learn more about how the brain works, mountaintop beyond mountaintop will appear in full view, each inviting you to dare to become everything you've ever imagined, or even not yet imagined, that you could be. There are multitudes within you. Each of those multitudes has an opinion. Either they can fight with each other, or you can align your mind so that they work together. The choice is yours. Introduction. The surprising truth about your mind. I am large. I contain multitudes. Walt Whitman. Imagine yourself on your best day. Life is still busy and complicated, but somehow you manage to zip through the obstacle course of work, family, and friends without getting stuck. Your inner critic is unusually quiet and contented. You can see the whole chessboard and confidently select your moves and countermoves. A surge of hold my beer energy emboldens you to pick up a pickleball racket or whatever new thing you want to try. And all the competing voices in your head stop their shouting and should-ing. The gap between what you know you want to do and what you actually do is closed. Despite life's uncertainty, you can execute decisions without self-doubt, and you feel, for a moment, like the best version of yourself. Life is good. This state is what positive psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi coined flow. A flow state is when you're fully immersed in what you're doing without tripping over your thoughts. You feel present and energized. Wonder and possibility fill the spaces typically occupied by overwhelm and confusion. External circumstances remain imperfect, but somehow you feel solid and grounded. Flow states show up in emergencies when you stay almost eerily calm during a disaster.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?